A lot of people feel like they are on this perpetual hamster wheel that they just can't get off of. Like they're trying to chase their dreams, but they just can't seem to reach them. If you've ever felt like that, then this video is for you. No matter what you want out of life, frugal living will help you get there. The fact is, you only have so much time. You only have so many hours in the day. You only have so many years in your life. We trade all of our time for something. And a good portion of our time is traded for money. Money so that we can pay for our lifestyle. Money so that we can buy what we need. Money so that we can buy what we want. If you are wasting money and you are throwing away money and you are buying things that you don't need, things that you don't value, things that you, in some cases, don't even want, but society is trying to sell you, companies are trying to sell you, you are wasting your money. You are wasting your time resource. And that is going to take away your ability to get what you want out of your life. And so letting money slip through the cracks is one way to basically guarantee that you have to spend more of your limited time resource earning in order to support the extra waste that you are wasting. And so that is why frugal living is so important. And it's important to everyone. Maybe it's not important to the Bill Gates of the world, but most of us do not have so much wealth that we cannot completely just disregard frugality. You know, because money is like water. It just slips right through your hands if you're not careful. And every time that you let that happen, your dreams get further and further away from you. It is so easy to get distracted in a day and age where we have social media, where we are literally connected to social media basically all the time. And companies have access to you all the time to try and sell you, to try and make you promises that my product will help solve your problem. And of course, sometimes companies' products do solve a problem, and that's why sometimes we buy a product and we're real happy with it because it did solve a legitimate issue that we do have, and it was a good purchase. But sometimes you end up with buyer's remorse because a company made you a promise and you bought that promise only to be disappointed, only to take that item and donate it. That item was once your money, and your money was once your time. Let me just give you some practical examples. Maybe you want a big house with a big family and lots of acreage. Or maybe you want a little townhouse with no yard and no work involved in it. Or maybe you want an itty bitty house or no house at all and you want to have the ability to travel. Maybe you dream of starting a church. You know what you're going to need to start a church? You're going to need money. Maybe you dream of starting an animal shelter. You know what you're going to need to start that animal shelter? Money, as well as having your time freed up. Maybe you dream of joining a big company and climbing the corporate ladder. Maybe that's your dream. Perhaps you might dream of starting your own business. But no matter what it is that you want out of life, one thing always stays the same. You need money to fund that. So the basis of living a frugal lifestyle is not about deprivation. It's not about saying no to things, which I think is broadly something that people think of when they think of frugal living. They think of cutting back, and they think of not having wonderful things that they'd just love to have. But the reality is, frugality is actually a tool to spend intentionally on things that really matter, things that you need for your life, things that you really truly want in your life. And not wasting money which translates into wasted time, time that you could have spent on something more important to you. People are just feeling this right now that, and I have had periods in my life where I have also felt like this. So I think it's something that we all experience. And on a personal level, Um, I realized this a couple of years ago. It's almost 2 years ago now, that I was in the hospital. And if you've been watching my channel, you'll know I was in the hospital about a year and a half ago. And that changed the trajectory of my entire life. Because prior to that moment, I had a veil over my eyes. And as I was sitting in the hospital for almost 1 week, I had a lot of time to think about where I was in my life. And there was a moment where it occurred to me how brief this life really is. Because there was actually a moment, several moments, where I was wondering if I was going to be able to get my life back, if I was going to be able to get my health back. And I was really scared. Um, I hope you don't have that type of wake up call in your life. I really, truly hope that you never have that type of wake up call. But I will say that it has been a really important moment in my life because it truly made me realize how limited our time in this life really is. In order to get out of your one life that has a limited number of days, which you do not know how many days that's going to be, um, pivots around how well you spend your money or your resources. If you decide you want to start a business and you are currently working a job, a full-time job for someone else, in order to take that step, you are going to need to have some savings. You are going to need to have a financial cushion in order to be able to take that step back. In my case, I had to take a step back because of my health. And thankfully, I had built a good cushion so that I was able to do that. And we have been working over a decade building our remodeling business, which is now built to a point where the fact that we invested our time and money and efforts into building that also contributed to my ability to take a step back from my corporate job, which was becoming too much and was not contributing to the things that I value in life. And I'm a pretty frugal person, but the more frugal that you can become, the more successful you can become in your life. Because whatever resources you have, whatever resources you're able to gather, you can create your own vision of success. But what you need in order to do that is you need to free up your time and you need to have money. And frugal living will help you use those limited resources, your limited time and your limited money and your limited earning potentials to the best of your ability so that you can afford to do all of those things that you want to do. Maybe you want to donate money to a cause, but ultimately that money needs to come from somewhere. Maybe you want to buy a big house. Whatever it is, I'm not saying that philanthropic things are the only things that you might want to do with your life. Maybe you want to buy a boat. Maybe your family wants to buy a boat and that you want to enjoy. That's an expensive hobby. It's an expensive leisure activity. Maybe you want to travel the world. Maybe you want to travel the United States. I don't know. You know, I don't, what you want to do. But no matter what that thing is, you're still going to need money to fund it. And you're still going to need to use those resources wisely so that you don't have to work twice as much to get those things. And that's what it really comes down to, is that most people these days are just being sold to all the time. I think people are drawn into it. I mean, I've also been drawn into it, to at least to some degree. I try to really be mindful about this because it's a process. It takes constant reminders to yourself about what you actually value, what you actually want. And when you are looking to spend your money, asking yourself, is this going to contribute to my long-term happiness and my long-term success? And that's the thought that I really kind of wanted to leave you with today, that your time is finite. You are living your life trying to get somewhere, to your goals, to your dreams, to your destination, to where you want to be in life. But how you spend your money on a day-to-day basis, minimizing wasteful spending, will help you get there. And so there's nothing wrong with having nice things. There's nothing wrong with buying a nice house. There's nothing wrong with buying a nice car if those things are important to you. And also just to think of frugality as a tool for you to use to get where you want to go. Because that's really what we're trying to do when we're trying to live a frugal lifestyle. We're trying to minimize wasting our resources on things we don't need, on things we don't want, and things we don't value, so that we can use our limited time and financial resources on the things that matter most. I hope that this has been thought-provoking for you. I hope that it will help you reprioritize some of the things in your life and look at your life a little bit differently. And I hope that it will help you put frugal living into the perspective that it really is, that it is a positive thing, that it is not something that means you are depriving yourself, because it's just not what it is. You can have great things. Through frugal living, you can have great things. And I hope you get all the great things that you want in this life. So with that, I will leave you, and I will see you guys next time.